So, guys, welcome. Will this engine 4 by SoundPeats, is it going to be taking you anywhere? I mean, let's take a look and let's do it live, like Ron said. Goedendag, we're DHRME, deafening high quality reviews of musical engines. All right, guys, let's start off with the build quality. So, right off the bat, when you look at these, you see that it's a quite a shiny case. I mean, we're not going to lie, this is probably one of the shiniest cases we have in our assortment of earbuds that we have. It's also not the most sleek. I mean, it is pocketable, not super sleek though. But one big downside though, if the light hits it right, you're gonna see a lot of fingerprints on this guy. So that's something to watch out for. Also, the hinge is solid if you when you open it, but when you close it though, you're gonna hear that plastic feeling. Case. There you go. A little bit hollow, plastic sounds a bit cheap. So that is something you're gonna kind of expect at this price point. Again, when you open up that case and then you'll see the buds, what you will notice is this kind of snake skin diamond texture around it, uh, which we kind of like because it adds a little bit of grip to the buds as well and helps take them out of the case, but also adjust them in your ear. So that's something to note as well. Rowan, what else can we say about the build?
Well, a few things about the build that are quite interesting is look, it's overall plastic, very clearly plastic, but it seems to have tighter tolerances. Doesn't seem super cheap. Seems cheap, not super cheap. And probably the worst thing about the build for me is this has no IP rating, none. I know these are budget buds, but to have zero IP rating in 2023, I think that's not really great. But fine, that's the IP rating. What about the design overall, the usability, the style? What do you think, Kevin?
Well, design wise, I don't think it's going to really make you sweat, so that IP rating can be missed. I mean, it's all right, right? So it's shiny, yes. It's not very shouty in terms of the logo and the branding. There's only a logo on the backside of the case, so where the hinge is. So yeah, maybe we can show that. That's where you have a little bit of branding, and that's it. What you do have at the bottom of the case is your Type C port, and next to that, a pairing button. We will be talking about the pairing situation and all of that a little bit later as well. And when you pop open the case, that's of course when you see the buds. We just took a look at those. You will see that they're bud style, no stem, so no stroking, guys. Just good old bud style. Again, that's up to you, right? Whether you like them or not. Now, if you see me, I've got them in my ear, right over here. Got that little bit of a Frankenstein look popping out of my ear. But I've got to be honest, it's not too, protrusive, or there's not too much protrusion out of my head compared to, let's say, the stem style bud of the AirPods that I have with the other. So that's something to keep in mind. How do they work? There are no buttons. It's all touch. We'll talk about touch in a bit, but what we will say is that it's not configurable. The touch is not configurable, meaning that you have a set of controls. You got single tap for volume. So one on the right is volume up, on the left is volume down. Then double tapping is your play, pause, or answer hang up for calls. If you triple tap the left button, it puts you to game mode, which is basically low latency. And then long pressing either the left and the right will do track controls. So left is for previous track, right is for the next track. So that's a little bit about how the call controls work and the media controls as well. Ron, what about the juice situation?
So SoundPeats promises 12 and a half hours on the buds, and that's what I just showed you. Uh, we did a short battery test. Yeah, I know. I muted my mic. Sorry about that. We did a short battery test. It was not bad. 7 hours, 21 minutes on LDAC. And the LDAC obviously gives you lesser battery life than other codecs, but that's what we'd like to test. If somebody's selling you LDAC, we got to test LDAC. And I think that's still pretty good. It's in a real life battery test with audio playing continuously. It's not one of these fake tests that companies put out. So I would say that battery life is one of the strengths of these buds. And given the slightly thicker, form factor, I guess that makes sense. But what do you think about a thicker form factor, Kevin? And how comfortable are these? Because they look quite chunky, don't they?
well, if you're really using them for 7 hours, 21 minutes, you kind of want them to be comfortable. They do look chunky, right? If you look at them in your hands or kind of look at them in your ears, but they actually don't feel uncomfortable. They feel pretty comfortable. We didn't have too much issues. We could use them for multiple hours on end. And so, what maybe is good for you to know, and maybe Rowan, you could measure that right now, is the nozzle diameter of one of the buds, because that's the part that's going to go into your ears, guys. So if you have a small ear canal, you're going to have to pair it with the right silicone tip, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But this is also something you want to know about. So what are we looking at? 6.7 millimeters is the size of this one. And if we compare it to another pair of buds, for example, the Sony LinkBuds S, what are we looking at over here? About 4.8. Yeah, so that's around 3 millimeters, guys, right? Or rather, 2 millimeters. Yeah, 2 millimeters. Gotta get my math straight. There we go, 2 millimeters. Something to keep in mind if nozzle size is something that you struggle with.
Yeah. Would you
like I
sleep
said,
sideways on this, Kevin? A lot of questions coming in on that.
Would I sleep sideways on this? No. Oh, sorry, wrong bed. This one. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. No, you'd feel it for sure. It is protruding, and you can see that a little bit in my ear as well, right? So I wouldn't. Nope. Unfortunately, not a sleeping style bud. So just to round off the comfort part, guys, so you get 3 sizes of silicone tips in the box. They are round silicone tips, so that's something to keep in mind. In our experience in the past, oval shaped ones are the most comfortable, but may give you less secure fit. These are round, but they've been pretty good for us, guys. Again, these are only 3 sizes that you get in the box, kind of on the low end. I mean, there's a lot of buds these days that come with at least 4, if not more. So that's a little bit about the comfort. And fit-wise, they are pretty secure in our ears. We would even dare working out with them if it wasn't for the lack of IP rating. But that's what we get on these. And then if we look at the calling situation, you can take calls, but okay, let's hear some microphone samples first.
Popsicle, ice, icicle, testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay, so what did you guys think? Let us know in the chat. But if you listen carefully, we haven't had spectacular experiences with these. Both Ron and I have used them in all sorts of conditions, including quiet at home, but also outdoors with a lot of background noise. And let's just say we've put these buds very often back into the case and just continued the call on the phone. A lot of people, said our voice was getting cut out, even in quiet conditions, which is very surprising to us. And so we would not recommend these for calls, guys. But, if you like living on the edge and you want to take that risk, go ahead. Volume buttons do work, so that's a plus. Mute does not, so that's something to keep in mind. At least it didn't for us. So that's the feature pack you're going to get in terms of controls on these buds. And that's about it for calls. Want to move to sound quality, Ron?
I don't know. Are people interested in hearing about the sound quality? Let me check.
Let me see. Let me take a quick look. Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, okay. They want to hear about the sound quality. So the whole thing about these earbuds is they have this kind of more detail, high res, LDAC, coaxial dual dynamic drivers, all good stuff, right? And the real question is, forget about the marketing. How do these sound? And I am happy to say these sound really good. I can totally see myself enjoying music in these. Dual dynamic drivers, I really like dynamic drivers. I'm a dynamic drivers guy, not necessarily a balance armatures guy. The stock tuning is very bassy though, so out of the box you get kind of like this mid-bass bump quite a lot, and it sounds a bit warm or dark. Again, it's a flavor, but that doesn't mean that is the end of the day, because this also comes with an app, as we saw, and that app has a 10-band EQ, which you can use to customize the sound quality. So if I just go into my camera here and we just look at this app, you get a bunch of presets to start with. So you get the classic, the bass boost, the typical SoundPeats fare. But you can also go in there and customize your EQ. This is what I'm using right now. I'm not saying this is the perfect EQ. It's just something I was playing around with to kind of counter that darkness on the treble we saw. So I think they're very good sounding pair of buds. I was just surprising. I'm seeing some of the comments and it's making me laugh. Don't do that, guys. I was just really surprised as to how well these took EQ. And so again, they're not perfect, right? They're a low price set of buds, but at this price, they're phenomenal. The only nitpick I have with them is the two ends. So the really low end, the sub bass doesn't have that kind of thump or the punch. And the really high end, the treble doesn't have as much airiness as maybe some more expensive earbuds would have. But overall, the stereo width is excellent. Most of the genres I threw at it, it could handle, except maybe hip hop to an extent because it doesn't have that sub bass. But really nothing to complain at this price, and we'll come to the price in a bit. But for sound, these are excellent earbuds. But what else do we have in the package, Kevin? That's the real question.
So the package is all about that branding, right? So the high res audio and the LDAC. So guys, if you're buying this for sound quality, then this next extra feature is probably something you're going to stay away from. And that is multi-point. It does support it, guys. And in our opinion, worked really well. You just pause on one device and play on the other, and it works. What you do have to keep in mind, though, with multi-point is that when we paused, for example, YouTube video on our laptop and then played Spotify on our phone, it would take about 3 to 5 seconds for the audio to continue playing. So that's something you do need to remember with these. It's not the best implementation of multi-point, but it's there if you want it. Although you will sacrifice LDAC, guys. And so if that's important to you, then and you're buying these for sound quality, you probably will stay away from it. And you will see a pop-up when you try to enable it in the app with multi-point. Also with multi-point, if you have paired it with a third device, for example, and you want to connect to it, you cannot just go into Bluetooth settings and then pull the connection. It won't work. Yep, so this is the toggle that you see in the app. So you get this pop-up asking you.
I have no idea how to read this. Can you explain what this means?
I'll be honest. It took me a while, Ron. A lot of trial and error to figure this out. It's kind of them to include this tip. You know what I mean? But the English could have definitely been better. So I did not know which button to press between the two to actually enable dual connection. I just wanted multi-point. That's all I came for. I walked away with a lot of confusion. So yeah, but it did work, Ron. So that's what's most important. No pull connection, like I said. And there's a couple of other extra features, guys, that you're not getting on these, which is again a corner that was cut at this price point. No smart pause. So if you take the bud out of your ear, it's not going to pause your audio automatically and resume when you put it back in your ear. Also, no wireless charging. So you're going to use that USB Type-C port to charge. And like we just saw, the app, it's there, which is great. It is basic though. So you're getting that EQ, which Rona just showed you with a bunch of presets as well as the custom EQ. So that's great. Apart from that, you also get a game mode toggle. But like we said, you could do that with the bud as well. You can also disable all the touch controls if you find them annoying. You can switch it off in the app. And finally, you have that dual device connection toggle as well. So that's all the extra features you're getting on these. And then there's the price point. And I saw a bunch of you guys talking about it in the chat as well. What is it retailing at? Well, SoundPeats Engine 4 is going to retail at $59.99 in the US, so $60. But it is going to be discounted to $41.99, $42. Again, SoundPeats it does a lot of these offers and promotions. So keep an eye out for those. We do have a link in the description, of course. If you feel free, if you're planning to get these, feel free to use them. It will help us out a lot and doesn't cost you anything extra. So that's the price situation, guys. That's the segment you're looking at over here. Ron, how do they perform in day-to-day life, though?
Yeah, we ain't done yet. Huh? We've talked about everything, but we've not talked about the intangibles. We talked about the touch controls briefly, right? Like the double tap sometimes doesn't register, but there's a problem with these earbuds, and that problem is its reliability and especially connectivity. We so both of us got a review sample from SoundPeats. So these are obviously sent over by SoundPeats, but that does not generally affect our reviews. Um, Both of us experienced connectivity issues. Connectivity just drops randomly, uh, and you know what? Like I know these are low priced earbuds. They do sound well. They have decent battery life, decently comfortable. But if you have to recommend earbuds to someone, these are not uncle earbuds. I call uncle earbuds. I can just give my earbuds to my uncle and say, these work once you paired, they'll work. These are just unreliable. So if you are somebody who really values, sound, good battery life, comfort, and is basically at home and doesn't mind every once in a while the connection dropping and having to reconnect, more power to you. But we cannot recommend these earbuds till those problems are fixed. To be fair, SoundPeats already pushed out one update in the time we've had these buds. We had difficulties actually updating these earbuds because there were some issues there, right? We got weird error messages or whatever. It, mean in the last couple of days, we managed to update it, but still there's some reliability issues, and that's kind of been the story for a number of SoundPeats products. So we're hoping to fix this via software update, but I'm not really holding my breath. And what is SoundPeats doing was like the title of this video. I think they're trying to change strategy. They're trying to, with the Opera 3, trying to go up against the higher end, with the lower end. This is actually at $60, or that is after the discount, after the first couple of weeks. I don't know how I could, in good conscience, or we could, Kevin, say that $60, these are the buds to buy, because you don't get ANC, you don't get transparency, you don't get an in-ear sensor. The app is suspect. Somebody just asked if the app asked for a left kidney. I said it also asks for the kidneys of your family, because you need to log in with an email address and everything. You need your location. So overall, would be hard for us to recommend these earbuds at this price and at its current reliability level. So that's our opinion. Hang around for questions. You've been listening to the sound of our engine.
And we've been DHRME.
Namaste.
Namaste.